Reports of rape, incest, abuse. Are these allegations against some polygamous communities just too much for state law enforcement to handle? A massive raid of a polygamous compound in Texas has raised questions about whether federal authorities should step in to investigate FLDS communities here in Arizona and across the state line to Utah and indeed throughout the entire country. Mike Watkiss reports. Mike?
Yes, indeed, Patty, with the dramatic developments still unfolding in Texas and the long and often painful history of polygamy here in Arizona and neighboring Utah, the question is, should the federal government now step in and address some of the crimes associated with this practice? Well, it's a question that we posed to Arizona Attorney General Terry Goddard this afternoon during a wide-ranging conversation.
Well, I personally think it's always been a federal problem. It's involved multiple states and even international involvements for the FLDS. And Mark Sertliff in Utah and I have been pleading for federal involvement, maybe not coordination, maybe not take over the investigation, but at least give us some research and some investigative help. And in those areas and those crimes in which there's federal jurisdiction, step up to the plate and do the job.
Goddard, however, stopping short of a complete condemnation of the federal government, saying that the FBI was very helpful in placing polygamous leader Warren Steed Jeffs on the agency's 10 most wanted list, a move that Goddard said did assist in Jeffs' arrest, but the Attorney General says more now needs to be done.
But we've alleged for a long time and believe we have evidence to show that there's been tax fraud, there may have been welfare fraud, there's certainly been civil rights violations which come under the federal jurisdiction. And I pled with them several years ago to come out and look at the Lost Boys, because I think there's a classic example of law enforcement, in this case the town marshals, being used to enforce the rules of the church.
I've been trying to get some action taken at the state and federal level to look into the whole situation.
But one Arizona elected official taking it even further. Mojave County Supervisor Buster Johnson, a longtime critic of polygamist wrongdoing and a longtime advocate for more government action, saying elected officials in both Arizona and Utah may now be liable in civil lawsuits for failing to protect victims over the past several decades. And today on the phone, Buster Johnson telling us he is discouraged that it has taken this long for the government to act.
Discouraged and embarrassed, I guess. I'm embarrassed because I know, as well as everybody else does, that in all these years, every day more victims are being victimized, and we've done nothing to protect them. And I think that's our government's goal, is to protect those who can't protect themselves, and we've really let these people down.
Patty, of course, we have been pushing for action probably longer and more aggressively than anyone, and an oversight in our coverage, I think, is giving Buster Johnson the credit that he is due. In his capacity as a Mojave County supervisor, he really stuck his political neck out long before anyone else in this state calling for government action, and there really seems to be traction for that now. Now powerful Nevada Senator Harry Reid calling for the federal government to get involved, and all of this as Mr. Goddard and his counterpart in Utah, Mark Sertliff, prepare to host their annual Polygamy Town Hall Summit up in St. George, Utah next week. It's a panel discussion about the media's involvement in all this. We're going to be one of the panelists at that discussion Thursday of next week. Should be very interesting. They're hoping to get a lot more FLDS people to get involved in this summit. They haven't been there in the past. It's usually been groups like the groups from Centennial Park and the Kingstons up in northern Utah. So a very interesting development. Of course, stay with 3TV for all of these developments. I'm Mike Watkiss for 3TV, the place with more news.
Interesting how polygamy has become something of a political football now, Mike, after all these years. And by the way, for what it's worth, Harry Reid is a Mormon. Just wanted to put that in.
Yes, indeed, and definitely pushing for action now.
All right, thank you very much for that. We are getting our first